Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be hosting a live Q&A for all of you to answer all of your burning dating and relationship questions. Because I know that for most of us, we're fed certain stories about relationships, about dating. Stories like it should just feel natural and effortless. If, you have any doubts, it's not the right person. It should be, complete yes. And this puts so much pressure on us because we feel like one, our partner has to be perfect, and two, that we need to be perfect. And so I want to set the record straight with you guys today. I want to alleviate some of the stress or the anxiety or the worry that you have, because dating and falling in love, being in a relationship, moving it forward, it can be fun. It can be the most expansive experience you've ever had. But if you're putting all of this weight and pressure on it, if you're unsure how to navigate this mirror that gets put in front of you in dating and relationships, you're not going to feel very empowered. You're not going to feel very excited about it, right? You might be going on dates, but it doesn't go very far, or avoid dating altogether, or in a relationship and you tend to just shut down or push that person away or act out and you're unsure how to get your needs met. So let's all come in today and create this really beautiful space where you can get some clarity from me. I don't do this very often, so I'm really excited when I get to do it. So I'm going to hand it over to you guys now. So I'm going to start with anyone's questions who are live. This is your moment to drop any doubts, any fears around asking your question, even if you don't know if it's 100% clear. Like I said, this is a super safe space where we get to get clarity together. And this is your opportunity to start allowing yourself to be seen, to put yourself out there in ways that might make you feel nervous. So I see one question. Okay, so just out of a toxic relationship. So many things I would like to ask. Dating now, she is great, but I am so heartbroken still. What should I do? Okay. Oof. Roberto, I'm really sorry to hear about this. Getting out of a toxic relationship is extremely painful for a number of reasons. One is we lose not only the person that we thought we were going to be with, but we lose the fantasy that we held on to of what life could be like with them. And especially when we're in a toxic relationship, we build our connection around those fantasies because it's not actually usually what we've experienced. What we've experienced is actually more pain than the bright future that we saw could be possible. And then what we do is we put that pressure on ourselves. We convince ourselves that we need to change, that if there's something we could just do to show up better, then they would change and we'd have that picture perfect fantasy. So another piece of this that is really important when you get out of a toxic relationship and you're starting to do your healing is to recognize where your stories are around how you're responsible for everyone else's emotions. And if you feel like you don't ever get it right or you're not good enough. Because when we are in a toxic dynamic, we can say unhealthy. Sometimes I don't like to use toxic as much because it can be misconstrued. But when we're in an unhealthy dynamic, when we're not able to get healthy conflict resolution and feel secure in the relationship, we will put all of that on ourselves and feel like we failed at something, especially when you're a high performer and you take ownership for your life and you see how you can create things. And so part of your healing is going to be looking at those stories, because if you keep buying into those stories, you're going to end up in a similar relationship. So this is a pivotal moment for you to not just think about getting out there and dating and finding someone different, but understanding the patterns and the beliefs, both in your mind and then the patterns in your body, right, somatically, that led you into this relationship in the first place. Because then that's the only time that we're going to allow ourselves to be open to something healthy. So I'm really happy that you're putting yourself back out there, but we want to make sure we're putting ourselves back out there with intention. And if you're still feeling heartbroken, it might be that some of those stories are still at play. And so we need to address those first. And this is exactly what I do inside Masculine in Love, which is my signature course. So if you're interested in joining, you can either DM me in love, or you can go to the link in my bio. And this course is going to help you identify what those subconscious beliefs are and to be able to actually rewire them and then understand how to qualify a woman to make sure that you're not getting into the same relationship. That, and there is a bonus lesson on getting over your ex. So I think this would be really, really wonderful for you, Roberto. And I just so appreciate your vulnerability here and your willingness to speak up, and just know that my heart goes out to you and you're not alone in this. And I know there's a lot of other people on here who can relate to what you're experiencing. Give me a 1 or a heart in the comments if you can relate to what Roberto is going through. Let him know, give him some love. Okay. Okay, I've been single majority of my life. I'm 45, I've never been married, and I have no kids that I'm aware of. I reached the point where I'm just about ready to give up. Buster, is that your name? This is a tough spot to be in, especially when you are younger, right? You always think like, oh, I have more time. It's gonna all work out. I'm gonna have more time. I'm gonna have more time. But when you find yourself then feeling like, okay, a lot of time has gone by and now I still haven't been married, which I'm assuming is something that you desire, Buster, it can feel like you are going to continue to be in that forever. But the truth is, that isn't actually true. Because what we have to look at is what has held you back from actually creating that level of intimacy or connection with a woman. And you are actually being called to step up to identify what that is. Because if you weren't meant to actually learn about yourself, if you weren't meant to actually understand how to create that deep, lasting connection, you would probably already be married by now, or been married and divorced, or in a marriage that just isn't fulfilling. And so you are being asked to step up because you're not meant for an average partnership. You're meant for an extraordinary one. And having an extraordinary partnership requires a deeper level of knowing ourselves and knowing our patterns and knowing how to be able to connect deeper. And when we've held ourselves back from doing that, it's because our subconscious doesn't find it safe to connect. So whether you're getting stuck on the first date or you're getting stuck in the first, year right before marriage, there is a tipping point where your system is going, not safe, push it away. And we do that either by shutting down and not leading the dating process as a man, right? Or putting up walls as a woman. Or we do this by continuing to create conflict instead of intimacy. Knowing how to work through that conflict to create intimacy is what I should really be saying. So this is you being invited to literally rise up. Okay? So this is your opportunity to not blame yourself, because I have a feeling that's one of your patterns, but to see that your ask is to actually stop that pattern, to see that you are worthy of that relationship and understand how to truly step into that energy. Amazing. Okay. How do I know if a woman loves me, but she is scared to use the words, I love you? Okay. Love is an interesting thing, isn't it? Because we all have certain ideas of what love really means. It can be rather subjective. You'll hear interviews of people who have their definition of what love is. And when you feel like somebody loves you but isn't expressing it, that can be a tricky situation. Because a lot of the time, we will project our own feelings onto somebody else and assume that they're experiencing something similar to us. And the way that we get on the same page with somebody is to stop asking them to feel the same as us and to recognize that it's okay that we have two different experiences. This is interdependence, right? So when we allow our partner to be on a little bit of a different timeline, to experience intimacy differently, well, now we give them the freedom to choose how to lean in. And one of the main reasons why somebody won't express how they feel is because they worry that they're doing it just to please somebody, or that it's going to lead them into a relationship where they lose their autonomy, their freedom. So it's so important to give her the freedom to tell you when she's ready. And now, if you have this conversation and she doesn't know where she stands with you, and you guys have been together for a while, and she's not willing to work through her blocks in being able to experience intimacy, this could be an invitation for you to recognize how you might have been chasing in the relationship or overgiving, and to be able to reclaim your power, which will shift the dynamic in the relationship and or give you the clarity to know that you don't want to settle for comfort anymore. Okay? I know that's a tricky one to be in, especially when you feel like you love that person. All right, more questions. Let's go. Okay. What would be the best advice for a woman to learn to stay firm in herself, even when she gets excited for a relationship, especially having the tendency to lose herself in front of a relationship? Well, Roxana, you are in good company. This was one of my biggest patterns and blocks, was I would get so caught up in this feeling of euphoria and love and the idea of what that would bring into my life that I would absolutely lose myself. And so it's not about losing that excitement, because falling in love is exciting. Feeling like you found somebody who you want to be with, who gets you, is a very exciting thing. And especially if you've been doing the work on yourself to have that, then this is a moment to celebrate, and you want to be celebratory in it. The key to not losing yourself is to recognize what beliefs you have about how you need to show up or how you need to be to keep his love, to keep his affirmation. And we all have certain ways of doing this. Some of us will continue to please and to overgive and to hide our own needs. Sometimes we're not even hiding our needs. We aren't even really sure what they are at this point anymore, right? Give me some hearts, some ones in the comments if you're like, yeah, I'm kind of lost on what I need. So one of the best exercises to identify your needs is to ask yourself, is this a desire for connection or a need for affirmation? Because sometimes we ask someone else to step in for our own needs in a way that's actually outsourcing our ability to give that to ourselves. So it's really important to decipher between the two. But I digress. So in order to keep yourself, right, to not lose yourself in the midst of falling in love, first, we need to identify how you lose yourself. Is it that you push all your needs aside? Is it that you don't even know what you need? Is it that you... How do you ask to not be held to the perfection standard? So when you feel like someone is asking you to be perfect, to be loved, it's not necessarily a conversation to have with that person. It's a conversation to have with yourself. Where am I expecting myself to be perfect? Where am I telling myself that I'm not good enough? Where am I still believing that I need to act, be, or do something in particular, or change myself to be able to have the partnership that I desire? Because remember, every person that we attract into our life is a direct mirror of us. It's where we're being asked to actually expand and grow and connect deeper with ourselves. So if you are in a relationship with somebody who is expecting perfection, or you have this tension because she's continually asking you to be different, or telling you in direct or indirect ways that she's unhappy or you're not good enough, the first thing I want you to do is to ask yourself, where am I actually believing this about me? And then where do I actually need to start setting boundaries in my relationship? Because once you have once you have the conversation with yourself, you do need to have a conversation with that person if you're in relationship. And it's a matter of changing the dynamic in the relationship, not asking the other person to change. So if you are expecting her to change and to not expect you to be perfect, well, that's where you guys are an energetic match. You're both asking each other to change without going, how do I change the dynamic? And it's not about being better or proving yourself. It's about stopping believing that there's something not good enough about you. Because when you believe there's something not good enough about you, then you're going to keep showing up in the dynamic in conflict instead of actually listening. And that's where we connect, is when we can listen to each other. Wow, what a vulnerable question, Jay. I love this. He said, Emily, I have unrealistic standards for a partner and I recognize that I have been programmed by media, but how can I remove this programming and get into a real relationship? Such a beautiful question. Almost makes me emotional because I know there's so many people on here who recognize that they might have this standard for their partner that may or may not be realistic. And I want to qualify this first. Your expectations might not be unrealistic. Your expectations just might not be a match for where you are today. And now if we're talking about physical beauty, I have a feeling, Jay, you're talking about physical beauty and how to be reprogrammed to appreciate a woman in, not necessarily filtered on Instagram or a certain body type. I want you to ask yourself, what is it that I'm really attracted to about this woman? Is it that I see other men wanting her and therefore it feels like I'm going to feel good enough or like I finally arrived if I have this type of woman? Because that energy is not only going to leave you feeling like you are not good enough, it's also going to deter that very type of woman back. What else is going to happen today? For any of you astrology buffs, it is Mercury retrograde. So this all makes sense. And now someone's knocking on my door. Is it my lovely husband? I don't know. Okay, so let me get back to this question real quick and wrap that up since we got distracted. So how to remove that program? The first thing to look at is, where am I not allowing myself to be seen? So I'm putting all the focus on her and her physical beauty and not allowing myself to be seen in who I am, what I provide, what I bring, right? And the second thing to look at is, what am I trying to outsource on this woman? Is it my confidence? Is it my status? Is it a certain achievement that I am going to feel when I have that? And looking at those pieces of it. Why do women have high expectations or standards this past decade? Why can't it be simple? So coming back to this question, I hear your frustration in this. I know that you feel really frustrated. I know that a lot of men feel frustrated. And there's two sides to this coin. There are some women who do have unrealistic expectations of men, who are expecting men to show up as they would, right? Like women, but they're not, right? You guys are unique and special in your masculine energy and the way that you show up. The other piece of this is there are women who are doing a lot of work on themselves, who are becoming very secure in who they are, very clear on what they want, and they no longer need a man to provide or really to protect. They don't need it. That doesn't mean they don't want it, but they don't necessarily need it. And so they are elevating their own self-worth, going, you know what? I'm not going to shapeshift. I'm not going to bend for a man's approval anymore. We've been doing that for a very, 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 very long time. And a lot of women are stepping into this power, and it feels very liberating for them. And yes, some women, in my opinion, can take it too far and start putting up walls and start making themselves better than men and holding men in contempt. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about women who are ready for true connection, who don't want to just be seen as a prize and then kind of, you're in the relationship and now you're done pursuing her. Women who don't want a man, like I said, to just provide the material things in life, but to also be able to emotionally connect with her. She wants to feel heard. She wants to feel understood. And a lot of the times as men, you mean well. And I know you want to do this for a woman, right? In your heart, you're like, I want to see her, but she's not letting me see her, right? It's a lot of the times because you don't actually have the tools to truly be able to meet her in that, because you haven't been taught how to. Yes, the expectations of relationships have absolutely changed. And I don't think that's going to go back anytime soon. So it's really important as men and women that we come to meet each other to be able to create harmonious and fulfilling relationships with each other by acknowledging our differences, honoring our differences, and being able to emotionally connect even through those differences. And this is why I do what I do. Because as men, there are some things about women that you might not understand because it's not in your nature, and vice versa, women to men. And we also carry around a lot of subconscious programming around men and women based on our experiences in life, and it's skewing our ability to feel safe, truly connecting. And so this is one way that I see men avoid actually what they're afraid of, is by attracting women who do ask them to be perfect. Because like I said in my last answer, if you have the limiting belief that you need to be perfect, that women have all these expectations of you, that's what you're going to keep attracting. Whenever you see something happen in your dating life, the most empowering thing you can do, and I've done this for myself, okay? How did I create this? Ask yourself, how did I create this? And this doesn't mean we're blaming ourselves. This simply means we're actually empowering ourselves to create what it is we desire, and knowing that we have that power. We can change our reality. We can change our dynamics, but we have to start with our beliefs first. We can't expect all of this to change and still have a mind full of limiting beliefs that this current version experiencing your current reality has. Okay? If someone wants you to be perfect, wouldn't that be a red flag? Absolutely. But if you keep attracting that same type of person who wants you to be perfect, that's where we have to look at how we're creating it. How are we a match for that? We're always an energetic match for something, and we can identify what we are currently an energetic match for by what we're attracting in. How can one identify if it's love or just infatuation? How to draw the line between love, lust, and attraction? It's a deep question. And I said this before, love is a very interesting thing. You can ask a dozen different people how to define love, and they might all have different answers. My definition of love is when you're willing to see someone else's shortcomings, imperfections, whatever we want to call them, and not feel like you have to fix them, but that you can actually show them love and compassion. So when it is lust, when it is infatuation, it's because we're projecting a certain fantasy of who we want or think this person is. And when it's love, we are willing to see all of them. We don't ask them to stop showing us certain sides. We might have boundaries around that. We might decide that it's not the right fit for us. But in true love, you are willing to see the sides of your partner that might not always be their most shining moments. and give them grace. And that's exactly how we also show ourselves love. So if you're falling more in infatuation for other people, it's likely because you haven't learned how to show yourself grace. And so you're outsourcing that feeling of love and acceptance on someone else. And this is why we can chase people who aren't reciprocating, because we've now projected this idea of who we want them to be, and then created the idea in our head that if we can finally get love from the person we want them to be, that we will be able to show ourselves grace now. Well, that's never how it works. We have to give it to ourselves first, right? Just like our reality is a reflection of our beliefs and not vice versa. The love that we experience in partnership is a reflection of the love and relationship we have with ourselves. So, if it feels like you're projecting a fantasy onto somebody of who they are, and every time they show you a side of them that isn't that fantasy, you either ignore it or shut it down or start like scrambling in your mind about it, that's lust. That's infatuation. If you're actually getting to know this person and then you see a side of them where you're like, okay, I see that that's part of their ecosystem and I see why. And we might have to work through a dynamic in this, but I'm willing to see it. I'm willing to acknowledge it and hold it. That's the difference. Okay. Oh, thank you, Dalen. Okay. Ooh, okay, this question. This question is all in the way that, like, the answer to this question is all in the way that you are phrasing it. So you're asking, how do I sell myself as a 44-year-old divorced male with a disability that occasionally needs a mobility scooter but has a good job, stable income, car, my own place, and am a romantic at heart? I don't know what your name is based on your screen name, but you sound like quite the catch. Here's what I mean by the answer to your question is all in your language. In those first 4 words. How do I sell? If you come into the dating process thinking you have to sell yourself, that you need to make such a spectacle of like parts of yourself so people don't see the other parts, you're already improving energy. That might be why you've attracted women who you don't feel fully accepted by or heard, or why you're not really even potentially getting dates if you're putting yourself out there. Because it's not ever about selling yourself. Yes, if you're online, there are certain ways to position your profile, but they're all a reflection of your beliefs, of your energy, about you, about women, dating, and relationships. So I ask you to rephrase this for yourself. If there was nothing about you that you needed to sell or convince a woman about, how would you put yourself out there? How would you own your journey? How would you own your strengths? That's how you connect with your dream woman. Not by trying to make all this bright and shiny to cover up something else, but to own exactly who you are and come to the table with knowing you don't need to prove a thing. Do you agree that one should heal their inner wounds before getting into a new relationship? And if so, how do you know you're mentally prepared for another person to be a huge part of your life? Oof. I can tell that you're deep. I don't know what your name is based on your screen name either. But you think through things. And it's really beautiful that you're able to have that level of introspection. I also wonder if overthinking keeps you from going after what you desire and always feeling like there might be something else that you need to do. And I want to say that for most high performers, we toe the line of this a lot, right? of taking ownership and knowing that when we take certain steps, we're more likely to have the outcome that we desire. And then the other side of this is never feeling good enough or ready enough for what we want. And so we delay. And your part of the journey that I'm picking up on is to actually realize that our readiness is not necessarily in like what we can see on the external, but our willingness to see our imperfections mirrored to us in relationship. Because when you get into a relationship, there are going to be pieces of it that you don't know how to navigate. Because it's going to be a relationship unlike any of the others. You'll have learned things from your past, for sure. You'll have gained wisdom, and you'll definitely learn things from being in a course, being in a program. But if you're waiting to give yourself permission to go after what you want, I think it's wonderful that you don't want to put yourself out there if you're emotionally unavailable, if you're worried about hurting somebody. But at what point are we using that as avoidance? And this is why my work is so different than any other coach, because so much of the journey is learning as you go along. And sometimes we put ourselves out there even before we feel fully ready to do it. But it's about having the right support, the right guidance, and the right tools to navigate it. So the question that I think you should be asking yourself is, do I have the right support in place to be able to navigate this next level of intimacy, this next level of partnership? Or are there parts of relationship that I know I need the right support for in order to navigate? And like I said, that's why my course, Masculine in Love for men, and Feminine in Love, my live group course that's about to kick off on Thursday for women, are so different. Because it's not about me telling you, like, this is how you should speak, this is what you should do, this is how to behave. That's only going to feed more into your feelings of overwhelm, of anxiety, of stress. It's going to make dating and love not fun. And it should be at least a little bit fun, right? It shouldn't be all stressful. I actually give you the tools to navigate the changes and the challenges and the new levels of intimacy that you're going to experience. So that way you're not just going, okay, I called in this person, I attracted this person, and now, oh my gosh, it's all falling apart. You've actually rewired the way you show up in relationships at the identity level. So you know that you can show up in every phase. When is the right time and way to attempt to kiss a woman, first or second date, etc.? How do we know when it might be appropriate? This is such a great question. First thing I want to say is a lot of men think if a woman doesn't kiss them on the first date, it's because she's not interested. And that's not necessarily true, okay? So if you are seeing a kiss as a sign of affirmation, that's where we need to start. Because a kiss is not meant to affirm you. A kiss is meant for connection. And so a woman will kiss you, and I should caveat, an emotionally available woman, a high value woman, will kiss you when she feels safe, experiencing that level of connection with you. And that goes for all physical intimacy. So knowing when to kiss her and trying to plan it out is missing the point. Because if you are just going based off of what you think you should do in order to get her to like you or to know that she likes you, then you're already disconnecting from her. And this is why women will tell you that they don't feel a romantic connection or why there's no spark. So the way to know that a woman is ready to kiss you is to first understand how to be fully present in your masculine energy. Because when you are present in your masculine energy, you will know exactly when she wants to kiss you. And you're also going to feel empowered to escalate the process of physical intimacy from your desires. Knowing that you are worthy of being desired by a woman. Because let's face it, if you don't even feel like a woman could desire you and you question your desirability, how is a woman going to feel connected to you? You're going to be constantly searching for her affirmation and never feeling it within yourself. So the men that you see who are like, oh my God, how do they just like get these women and are able to just like kiss them, and these women are just feeling so connected to them? It's because they're not consumed with her affirmation. This is also why like the bad boys can get the women, because they aren't consumed with her affirmation, right? But that's also a level of disconnection. It's not actually a healthy disposition, but that's just the polar opposite. So we want to find the healthy orientation of not needing her affirmation, where you care about her, you care about her feelings, you want her to feel legitimately safe, not just safe so she'll kiss you. And then it's going to become very apparent when she wants the kiss from you, because the energy between the two of you is going to feel electric. And there's going to be no other option but to kiss in that moment. So the first thing that I want you to do is to stop looking for the perfect time to kiss her, and realize that that's going to come to you in the moment when you're actually in your masculine and present. Remember, masculine energy, the root of it is present, it's grounded. And if you're constantly searching for signs, if you're all up like rumbling in your head, you're not actually present with her. You're stuck replaying a script that you think you need to say or do. I know we had some technical difficulties, multiple different types of technical difficulties. I hope that you feel like you got some more clarity, that you recognize that you're not alone in this, that you don't have to do it all on your own. That's one of the biggest limiting beliefs I see high performers have, especially when it comes to love and dating. Like, this is something that should be natural. I should know how to do this, and I'm gonna know exactly when that person's here. It's gonna just feel right, and it will feel right, but only when you become an energetic match for that. And like I said, that's why the work that I do isn't just about giving you tips and tricks and tactics. I'm not gonna waste your time with that. You can go YouTube that. Have fun YouTubing all the tips and tactics, and then we'll talk about how to actually make change, right? Because if those worked, you wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't still be searching for clarity in your love life. The work that I do, whether it's inside my private coaching, inside Masculine in Love, my signature course for men, inside Feminine in Love, my powerful live program that's about to launch on Thursday for high-performing women, you are not going to feel like you have to be a certain way. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about restructuring the way that you view yourself, relationships, and love. So you don't walk out of my programs just feeling like you learned a couple new things to try in the dating world that you try and then it's like, it didn't work. You leave feeling like a new version of you. One who doesn't need to shrink, one who doesn't need to prove, one who believes deeply in your lovability and deeply in love itself. And this is the missing piece to being able to have it all, to being able to have success, a healthy relationship, being in your power, feeling secure in yourself. Because when you are able to hold all of that within yourself without feeling like it's overwhelming or it's too much or it's confusing, that's when you attract a partner who can also hold all of you. So this is your permission slip to stop trying to prove, to stop trying to convince, and to actually find stability within yourself. To know that partnership is meant for you, but you're being called, you're being lifted up for an extraordinary one. And that's why you haven't settled yet, because you are being invited to up-level. You are being invited to step into a new reality so you don't go through another heartbreak, so you don't end up with the wrong person going through a divorce or another divorce, so you don't end up continuing to fall for someone who doesn't make you feel good enough. But instead, you're being asked to rise within you so you can attract someone else who elevates you even higher. So thank you so much for being here today. And I can't wait to do this again soon. And if you're interested in Masculine in Love for all my high-performing men who are done with the games and tactics, just DM me in love or use the link in my bio to join. And women, you still have a chance to join Feminine in Love. This is literally my most sacred space for women. I cannot wait. It's going to be intimate, powerful, potent. We are literally going to be bending timelines and shifting your entire love life. So just DM me the word feminine or use the link in bio. And of course, if you want an even deeper level of support and you want to become one of my VIPs, just send me a DM and we'll chat. We'll set up some time to talk and see if we're a good fit for that level of support. All right, mwah! I love you all so much. I'll talk to you soon.